He serves as a feature columnist for SportsNola.com, serves as co-host with Rick Gailey on Prep Recruiting Insider. He's a color football analyst for Fox Sports Regional Broadcast for the LHSAA Game of the Week. He's done games for ESPN, worked for Tiger Vision doing LSU games, played football himself at John F. Kennedy High School and at LSU. Great to have him back with us. Watch Prep Recruiting Insider Wednesdays at 6 on WHNO TV 20. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Rene Nadeau. Rene?
Excuse me, it's always good to be here, but what's kind of neat about this is I know most of the people in here, and I knew coming here, they got to clap for you when they say your name, whether they want to or not. I know in ordinary circumstances that wouldn't happen. If you think you're having a bad day, I did a game this past weekend for ESPN, Houston Baptist and Lamar. And Coach Vic Shealy, the Houston Baptist coach, if you think you're having a hard day, he was facing a score 62-7 at halftime. So just things could all be worse. People around the country always ask me, why did so many football players come out of this area? And I don't know if you know this or not, if you've had a child or grandchild born most recently, but doctors do things a little bit differently now. What some doctors will do if they delivering a child for a football family is the doctor will position himself behind the expected mother. The dad will be in the I formation right behind him, and the doctor will bark out the signals, okay? Push, 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 okay? And as the baby is delivered, the dad runs through the A-gap, one hole. He'll hand it off, and as the dad takes the child, snip the umbilical cord, mother and son and dad will be joined. And that's the way we do things down here. But we do produce a lot of football players. If you look at NFL rosters this past August, there were 53 young men who played high school football in the city of New Orleans, metro area of New Orleans, that were on NFL rosters. And that says a lot about the talent and the coaches we have here, and just the dedication that we have. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Really, I'm going to talk about LSU game in a second, but I'm very, very proud of the Prep Recruiting Insider Show with Rick. He does a great job, and if you've never seen it before, it's on every Wednesday at 6 o'clock on WHNO Channel 20. We have the recruits on themselves and kind of look under the helmet a little bit and let them express themselves and ask them where they're visiting and just talk a little bit about themselves. The coaches will be on as well, and we always have a legend most of the time tied into that particular school who has played at a very high level in college or in the NFL. So it's a very interesting show. Week in, week out, and we're in our third year, and it's very, very proud of it. And again, Rick has really added so much to it. Also, I'm proud to be a part of Sports NOLA and writing on the website. And we have a host of writers that Ken has put together. And I think that we give a perspective that you really won't see much anywhere else, an inside perspective. And my mom always told me when I was little coming up that you always surround yourself with intelligent people, smart people, and make you look smarter. She also said, hang around with ugly people and you'll look better. So I don't know, you decide if that's the case there. But we have some great writers at Sports NOLA, and I think that you'll see some things that you really won't see anywhere else in a great perspective. Also, Channel 20 does a great job. Kenny does a great job on the radio with Rick on the radio broadcast every week. And also check out WHNO with Ken Berthelot and Wade Kaiser on the rebroadcast of Channel 20. I do high school games with Fox, and really, really proud to do it. Our first game this year was with Wayne at St. James and West St. John, and that stadium is state-of-the-art, trust me. We do games around the state, which are carried in the state of Louisiana on Fox New Orleans, but they're also carried throughout the country. Different parts of the country can pick it up. And it shows a very positive light of the high school football in the state of Louisiana. We have 40-man crews, 6-7 cameras, and Fox puts a lot of effort, time, and money into this to make sure it's first class. And I'm really, really happy to be a part of that. I work with either Lynn Rollins or Jeff Palermo, and Greg Bowser is the other color analyst as well. LSU, Alabama. That's going to be an interesting matchup this week, and it's certainly been an advantage to have LSU playing at home. I just did some numbers. spit out some numbers here. Alabama is number 4 in total offense in the SEC, over 500 yards per game. LSU number 8 with 414. Points per game, not much separating both teams. Alabama is 36.5 points per game. LSU is 32.8. Sacks, Alabama has the advantage with 21 quarterback sacks, LSU with 7, but the Tigers have the advantage in interceptions with 9 to 5. Sacks allowed, that's going to be a big factor. Blake Sims, everybody knows how well he's done. He's only been sacked 5 times this year. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he's rushed for 5 more. He's like playing with 12 men on the field. He's very, very, very efficient. LSU's quarterbacks have been dropped 16 times. Anthony Jennings 13 and Brandon Harris 3. That'll be a factor in this game, I think. Rushing offense, LSU has a slight edge, 7 yards a game, which is minimal. The rusher, Leonard Fournette, is a higher rated in this game. He's got 657 yards and 7 scores. He and Hilliard and McGee, who has a little over 6 yards per carry, and Darrell Williams all average over 5 yards per carry. Alabama has T.J. Yeldon and Derrick Henry. Collectively, they rush for over 1,148 yards total. And they also average over 5 yards per carry, as does Blake Sims. Among the receivers, everyone knows that Amari Cooper is a guy that is mentioned in the same breath with some Heisman hopefuls. He's got 1,132 yards in catches, receivers 71 catches, 9 touchdowns. He's averaging almost 16 yards a grab. Traven Durrell for LSU is among the elite receivers in the country, almost 26 yards per catch with 676 yards. Interesting, LSU has 3 guys on defense that average, they're in the top 15 tacklers in the SEC. Quan Alexander, Danielle Hunter, and Kendall Beckwith. Together, they collectively have 165 tackles between them. Top tackle for Alabama is Reggie Ragland with 54 stops. LSU is going to have to run to the ball, and it's an effort like that between those 3 guys and others that will make a big difference in this game. I think it's going to be an extremely close game. And I say that because special teams, in this particular game, LSU has an advantage in returns, in coverage, and in place kicking. Colby Delahousse is perfect from 30 yards and beyond. He's 5 for 5, between 30 and 50 yards. Adam Griffith from Alabama is 5 out of 8 for 62% beyond 30 yards. Don't know if it'll come down to a long-range field goal, but things like that will certainly help. And any points in this game may come, points may come at a premium in a game like this. I mentioned a little while ago that the New Orleans area turns out a lot of players that go on to the NFL. And I want to mention some schools that you may think turned out a lot of players and don't know how many. St. Augustine has turned out 43 players from the history of the school that have gone on to the NFL. That is the most in the state and among the top in the country. John Curtis has turned out 13. Jesuits turned out 7. That is the top in this area. And also I want to mention is that the coaches here know these stories, but don't sell the youth short. The one thing that I'm privileged and honored to do, and I know Kenny does this as well, is we get to find out a lot about the individuals, the young players and stuff, doing games and kind of looking on them and helping a little bit. And that's what Rick and I do with Prep Recruiting Insider. So many young men have overcome and excelled, and from backgrounds that maybe a lot of people, and myself included, don't understand how much they've had to overcome. I'll mention 3 stories quickly. I remember doing a game years ago that a young man was playing for a school, and every game prior to his senior year, he was playing in the band. And at halftime, he would undress out of his football uniform into the band uniform, march with the band, and then go back and dress in his football uniform again because he wasn't playing a lot. It was a red letter day, his senior season, where he couldn't dress in his band uniform because he was playing. And I mean, as small as that sounds, can you imagine the dedication that this young man went through to make sure that he could play in the band and in the football field as well? Another one is years ago doing a game and talking to the coach about the players, as Dwayne would know because I grilled him for hours when we did the game, a few months ago. But I like to know a little bit about what makes these young men tick. And this particular coach told me he had a linebacker. He was 5'10", 190, not a big guy. He was all district, all district, had a 3.3 grade point average, and he was the youngest of 3 in his family with a single mom and was a primary breadwinner in the family. And, you know, that happens more often than you think. And I did a game this past week that had a young man playing in a game, Landry Walker in Warren Easton. A few months ago, his mom was a dispatcher for the police department. And he's playing a game up in his room on the second floor of the house. And hears shots downstairs. He comes downstairs, finds his mom, his brother, and his sister laying in a pool of blood on the floor, dead. And, excuse me, the car of the person who committed this crime is just pulling away. I mean, he was a matter of seconds from being a part of that. He ran to the coach's home. I obviously identified the person who did this, and he's a senior at the school right now, and he's getting scholarship offers. And my point is, I don't know how hard that difficult that is to handle something like that, seeing your family devastated. And he's moving on, and his grades are good, and he's going to get into college and hopefully going from there. But the strength and commitment of these young men and women in high school sports is, I've never ceased to be amazed on what they go through and overcome and do things. And again, the average person like you or I sometimes don't understand how tough it's been and what they've overcome and what they've done. Again, I invite you to watch PRI on Wednesday if you've never seen it before at 6 o'clock on WHNO Channel 20. Excuse me. We go all the way until March, and I promise you, if you watch it once, you want to watch it again. And we have Brother Martin coming on this week with the players, Coach Mark Bonise, and Steve Truding, who played at Brother Martin in Tulane, will be our legend guest this week. So I invite you to watch. Any questions? Yes, sir. I'm sorry? Wednesday at 6 o'clock on Channel 20 WHNO.
Okay. Secondly, is there any scenario that exists that LSU wins the West? Everybody's 2-2. Is there tiebreakers that LSU can win and they would go to the championship game?
I mean, they'd have to win Saturday for sure.
Right. I mean, obviously they got to win out.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to win out. I think this is. I'm like you all are. I think there's a chance they can win this week. They'd have to really put a game together like an Ole Miss game. They have chances against Arkansas and Texas A&M, but I'd have to really analyze and look at what what the other teams are doing, who would have to win what in order for that to happen. But obviously Auburn and Alabama have an advantage on that right now, and they would both have to lose, and they play each other. So LSU would have to beat Alabama. Alabama would have to beat.
There's a possibility 4 teams would be 2-2.
Sure,
Exactly.
exactly.
Out of those 4 teams, and I don't know the answer to this, whether LSU would be tiebreaker.
Mississippi State would have to lose 3 games.
Yeah.
It's
true.
All kind of other things come in.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to beat each
I
other.
don't know. I get a headache thinking about it. It would be something would have to crazy. A spaceship have to come down and suck up some of these teams. So no, I don't. I wish I could answer that. But, any other questions? God bless. Thank you very, very much. I really do.